just testified that you took those cell phone records, which, to remind a jury, that's information that's stored by who?
By Verizon, in this case Verizon, but yes.
By the cell company, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. And you compared it to the information you found on these phones, correct?
I did, yes, sir.
And specifically, with Alex's phone, what did you discover when you're comparing these phone records to the phone itself, the call log?
Once I started, I essentially built a digital timeline of all forms of digital evidence that we had during that time frame, and it was kind of a working copy. During that time frame, I compared the call logs from the extraction or from the actual device to the phone logs that I saw in the call detail records provided from Verizon. On the date in question, on June 7th, I only saw 2 FaceTime calls on the phone extraction, and I saw a series of around 73 phone calls on the Verizon call detail record.
Good. And what did that tell you when you saw that missing information?
It could be a multitude of things. They were either removed by the user or the one responsible for using the device. It could have overlapped from the call log history. It could have been a series of things, but I just wanted to make sure that I identified the phone numbers that were in communication during that time frame, and the lack of that information on the actual phone.
And you just said it could have overlapped. In that, what does that mean?
Over time, your call log obviously gets historically just kind of removes itself from the call log history on your actual device. It's nearly impossible, or actually I know of no way to delete any phone calls that you might have made that had processed through the network, or in this case, Verizon.
So there's no way for a user to delete records from Verizon, correct?
That is correct, yes, sir.
But you know, in your investigation of this phone, of Alex's phone, I mean, is that what happened? Did his call log just simply overlap? Were you able to determine that?
I was not able to determine it because it was an advanced logical, so I wasn't able to recover any deleted items during that time frame.
So you didn't recover any deleted artifacts of the phone call?
That is correct. No, sir, I did not.
When I say deleted artifacts, what does that mean?
Anything that was manually deleted from the device itself.
All right. And there's sometimes a trace left in memory when something is deleted, correct?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
But a logical extraction is not going to find that, correct?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. But did you, in your review of the call logs, did you discover whether sometime prior to the June 7th, that there were still calls in those logs?
Yes, sir, there was.
All right. And so is this a case where simply the calls just simply overlapped and the oldest went out as the new calls were made?
It's possible.
Well, if there's a gap, you just testified there were phone calls.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you just testify that there were phone calls from prior to June 7th still remaining on that phone?
FaceTime calls, yes, sir.
Okay.
On the call log on the phone extraction. The report that I was provided, because it was a working copy, was from June 1st to June 10th.
Okay. All right. But there were FaceTime calls prior to that, correct?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
And when a user accesses just the phone itself and they look at a call log, will that display both calls made over Verizon? It will display calls made over the Verizon network, the call log?
Yes, sir. Anything that connected to the network.
All right. And will display FaceTime calls as well?
It would, yes, sir.
All right. And you found FaceTime calls from prior to June 7th, correct?
Yes, sir, I did.
All right. And but as far as you could tell, as far as calls themselves, when did you start seeing call records start?
Right around the morning, late morning, early afternoon of June 8th, 2021.
Okay. All right. And is there, other than this overlapping situation, is there any other way that you're aware of that could have removed that gap in phone call logs?
If the user went in and manually removed it themselves.
Okay. But there's no other automatic process other than what we've already discussed?
No, sir.
And did you discuss with Sergeant McManigal whether his process in redacting certain things, did that process remove any call logs from that download?
Yes, sir. I did review with Sergeant McManigal, and obviously we had discussed the results that were provided to me, and we both agreed on the same opinion.
All right. And that Sergeant McManigal did not remove those records, correct?
That is correct.
All right. For this witness.
Please report.